Chapter 13. Bang! The jade rabbit in the sky had already been exploded into pieces and turned into ashes from the burning. Pfft! Su Lianhua herself vomited a large amount of blood, and her entire body was burning up. She screamed in pain, and Su Qin panicked at the sight of it. Feng Tian, what should we do? Su Qin was so anxious that tears were falling. Quickly invite Dr. Jiang. No. Quickly find His Highness the Crown Prince. Only he can invite Dr. Jiang in a haste. Ye Fengtian was also anxious. After all, not only was Su Lianhua his niece, but she was also someone who had eaten a Ye family treasure. If Su Lianhua died just like that, then his Ye family would really suffer heavy losses. He probably wouldn't be scolded to death by his father. However, he might even be beaten to death, even if he was already 100 years old. Yes, I'll go personally. Su Qin was a little out of her wits as she turned around and ran away. Hold on, let Hua eat the jade dew pill that was in your dowry. Otherwise, she won't be able to hold out until Dr. Jiang arrives. In this instant, Ye Fengtian displayed the good qualities of a general who didn't panic in the face of danger. What? The jade dew pill? That's... What? You can give Hua the innate talent pill, but you can't bear to give her the jade dew pill now. Ye Fengtian's face darkened completely when he saw Su Qin actually hesitating. No such thing. I just couldn't respond in time. I'll go get it now. Su Qin quickly suppressed her reluctance and went to get the jade dew pill anxiously. The truth was, she really couldn't bear to part with it. This jade dew pill was bestowed by the Empress Dowager. In the entire Vermilion Bird dynasty, other than this one pill, there were only 2 or 3 more in the sacred palace. This was an excellent level 3 healing pill that could save one's life at critical moments. She had planned to keep it for the future in case something happened to her. However, in this situation, Su Qin knew that she could not keep the jade dew pill anymore. Hence, no matter how reluctant she was, she still took it out and gave it to Su Lianhua. For a time, apart from Ye Qianli's Clear Wind Palace, the entire southern palace was in chaos. This is probably the aura of the 9 heavens mystical fire, right? Within the sacred palace of the royal city, the old man with white hair and silver eyebrows, who was the first to discover the flame, was trembling in disbelief and extreme shock. 9 heavens mystical fire? Ruler of the Vermilion Bird dynasty, Rongfeng, was obviously stunned when he heard this. No, this fire has changed again. It doesn't seem to be the 9 heavens mystical fire, but the 5th stage 9 mystical extraordinary fire. The white-haired, silver-browed old man concluded again. It is indeed the 9 mystical extraordinary fire, but why can't I see where the person who awakened this talent is? As Rongfeng calmed his mind, he also determined that the flames in the sky were the 9 mystical extraordinary fire that had an aura similar to the 9 heavens mystical fire. I'll investigate it myself right away. The white-haired, silver-browed old man knew how important talent cultivators were to the dynasty. Moreover, this was even a level 5 talent cultivator. Beloved official, hurry up and go to the Sky Harmony Palace to take a look at the daughter of the Ye clan. I'm afraid that child isn't feeling too good. I'm not even sure if she can survive. Her luck is too bad. She actually met with such disaster when she awakened her first talent. Rongfeng sighed. As you command. The white-haired, silver-browed old man accepted the order and left. Unbeknownst to them, at this moment in the royal capital, a black shadow could be seen flying through the night sky, directly evading the strict guards of the Vermilion Bird City and heading towards the Sky Harmony Palace. An hour later, a black shadow landed on the top of the Sky Harmony Palace. On closer look, this was clearly a robust man who had a pair of huge eagle-shaped wings on his back and was about 30 years old. However, on the man's black robe, there was a word heaven on the insignia encircled with stars. Under the night sky, it was a bit eye-catching. That simple heaven word and that cluster of stars surrounding the word, all of them were emitting an aura of gentle light. Why isn't there anyone here? Standing at the highest point of the Sky Harmony Palace, the man murmured as he clearly furrowed his brows. He was sure that the genius who had awakened the 9 mystical extraordinary fire was in this area. Although he didn't know why the talent cultivator's aura disappeared when he was about to awaken, he firmly believed that he didn't make a mistake in catching the whiff of it. However, no matter how he used his innate divine ability, he could not detect any suspicious aura. This was simply too strange. Could it be that the person had left? Teacher Feng, I didn't expect that the Gifted Academy would send you to my Vermilion Bird dynasty this time. This is truly my dynasty's honor. At this time, a distant and clear voice sounded from the darkness. The man's eyelids twitched as he looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a young man in an embroidered robe, with an elegant temperament similar to that of the first snowfall, only 30 feet away from him. He looked like a lustrous jade in the dark night. The former's eyes lit up. Rongmo, why are you here? This is easier to deal with then. The man who saw the prince clearly perked up with delight and said, I was wondering why there was no one in that crown prince residence of yours. So you had come here. Teacher Feng, don't tell me that you came all the way here from the academy just to look for me. Rongmo replied in a clear voice, but his gaze carelessly swept past Southern Palace. The robust man, whom Rongmo addressed as Teacher Feng, was the head teacher of the strongest academy in the 4 divisions continent, the Gifted Academy, Feng Lihuan. Of course not. This time, I was specially sent by the Gifted Academy to look for a seeded gifted teacher. It seems that my luck is not bad. I have just arrived at your Vermilion Bird dynasty and already met with 2 awakened talents. Especially this person who has awakened the 9 mystical extraordinary flames. I want to give them an enrollment token, but I can't find them now. Since you're here, you must know where they are. Quick, tell me, Feng Lihuan said with a smile. As the head teacher of the Gifted Academy, Feng Lihuan knew very well that this cool-as-jade student in front of him was no ordinary student. This fellow's ability might not even be below his. Just give me the enrollment token, Rongmo said. Feng Lihuan was stunned. What do you mean? Could it be that you've awakened your second innate talent here? That shouldn't be the case. Moreover, you've already entered the school. Why do you need an enrollment token? It's not convenient for her to meet with anyone, Rongmo said, extending his hand. Feng Lihuan. He just wanted to see the person. He just wanted to see the person. He just wanted to see that person. A genius who awakened a 5th-level talent on his first time. Not only did he want to see him, but if he was suitable, he also wanted to take him in as a disciple. Seeing Feng Lihuan remain silent, Rongmo raised his brows and asked, You're not giving it to me? He should be participating in your Vermilion Bird Dynasty's Prodigy Convention 5 days from now, right? Feng Lihuan asked instead. I don't know, Rongmo replied. Don't tell me he's your subordinate. Feng Lihuan gritted his teeth and asked again. Rongmo's brows twitched, and he fell silent. F***CK. Are you serious? You sure are capable. Feng Lihuan looked at him and was certain that the person who had awakened the 9 mystical extraordinary fire was a subordinate of Rongmo's. Here. Helpless, Feng Lihuan could only place an enrollment token in Rongmo's hand. However, he could not help but request somewhat unwillingly. Let him participate in the Prodigy Convention. At least let me see his innate divine ability. Is that feasible? Chapter 14. All right. Rongmo nodded and replied as though Ye Qianli was really his soldier who would strike wherever he pointed. Don't stop him from going to school. Feng Lihuan was still a bit worried. Even though he was the head teacher of Gifted Academy, he was treated very well in the various dynasties. His treatment was such that even if the Vermilion Bird dynasty's emperor saw him, the emperor would still have to stand up and excitedly welcome him. However, this trifling crown prince in front of him actually had the ability to make it hard for him to give rigid instructions. Don't worry, Teacher Feng, she will go. Rongmo gave him face. Good, that's good then. In that case, I'll wait for him 5 days later. Feng Lihuan was a straightforward person. Since Rong Mo had agreed to it, he spread his wings and left without another word. His speed was extremely swift, and he vanished without a trace in an instant. As for Su Lianhua, who'd awakened her jade rabbit talent, she actually didn't obtain a trace of his favor. After Feng Lihuan left, Rong Mo finally leapt lightly towards Southern Palace. In just a moment, he had already landed outside a window in Clearwind Palace. He looked at the window that had been sealed with the word 10 and frowned imperceptibly. Who is it? At the same time, a cold and sharp question came from within the room. A figure also flashed to the window frame at the same time, but didn't break out from the windowsill, seeming to have the intention of controlling his movements with silence. Rong Mo looked at the shadow beside the bed, and his clear eyes narrowed slightly. He reached out and removed the 10-word seal without making a sound. His movements were not fast, but it made Ye Qianli, who was in the room, even more vigilant. Ye Qianli could clearly see that the person outside the window was moving and tearing down her window. However, no matter how hard she tried to listen, she could not hear a single sound. This made her so defensive that her forehead was breaking out in a sweat. This person is very strong, at least for the current you. The magic box even flashed its words like a caption, making Ye Qianli feel like she was being hit when she was down. Wasn't this asterisk shoal talking nonsense? Of course, she knew that the other party was strong. Can you help me deal with him? After all, you supposedly fulfill any request. Ye Qianli could not help but retort in her mind. Of course not, the magic box shamelessly replied with captions. Ye Qianli was speechless. The window was being opened silently at this moment. That peerless, handsome man's figure was like a person in a painting. He appeared in front of Ye Qianli like a spirit of the night. She was stunned when she saw him. Even though it was late at night in the darkness, the magnificence of the person in front of her was actually brighter than the moon and stars in the sky. With just one look, it was deeply imprinted in her heart. From then on, every time she thought about it, it was as if she was holding the moon in her arms and had the stars in front of her. Do I look good? Rong Mo looked at the dazed and lecherous person in front of him. A dark glint flashed across the bottom of his eyes. Every time he looked at her, he felt that she was that person. Unfortunately, he was at his weakest at that time. His 5 senses had short-circuited. Basically, he was unable to see, hear, taste, smell, or feel anything. That B** starred even ran off quickly. As a result, he could only vaguely conclude that that person had run towards the Southern Palace. And the most suspicious person that day was her, Ye Qianli. However, all the evidence he found proved that she wasn't. She didn't have any records of going to the Western Palace. Neither did she have that ability. After all, according to what he found, that swine who attempted to molest her said that she really did jump off the cliff. According to the analysis of that time, she had been poisoned by the Qianyu Night Queen flower, an aphrodisiac, and had fallen 5,000 feet off the cliff. With her serious injuries, it was impossible for her to go to his Western Palace in such a short period of time and treat him. Dr. Jiang also said that she had a very severe new injury on her body. She was lucky to be alive because of her extraordinary physique. However, the damage caused by the 2 deadly poisons had already messed up her meridians and caused her cultivation to disperse. She was probably crippled. Yes? Ye Qianli, who did not know that Rong Mo was judging her in his heart once more, still nodded her head and replied frankly. Her initially dazed expression had somehow regained its clarity by then. Did Your Highness, the Crown Prince, come down to this commoner's place to let this commoner admire your peerless beauty? Ye Qianli asked. But in her heart, she had already deduced the visitor's intentions. He wasn't being aggressive. Neither was he criticizing her. He was probably here for her talent. However, he probably didn't realize that she had awakened the 9 heavens mystical fire, right? Magic box, You're reliable, right? When Rongmo heard this, he raised his black brows and asked, You're not inviting me in? I'm afraid it's not good for a man and a woman to be alone, Ye Qianli rejected. Have you heard of the Gifted Academy? The top academy in the 4 divisions continent? Yes. Your Highness, what do you mean? I have an enrollment token. Ye Qianli was slightly stunned. She could not help but look up and meet the eyes of the person in front of her. She tried to make out a little of his intentions from his eyes, but unfortunately, she could not see anything. This was really a pair of unpredictable and magnetic eyes. No one could see anything from them. It was already a trying matter to not be seen through by him. Ye Qianli frowned slightly. Just as she was about to ask, she saw Rongmo raise his hand, and under the wide sleeve of that embroidered robe, it revealed a simple badge that flowed with starlight in his fair hand. Yours, Rongmo said. You're giving it to me just like that? Ye Qianli felt that it was a bit inconceivable. She knew about the Gifted Academy, so she knew that the top-notch educational establishment wasn't an easy place to enter in the continent. This was especially true for such an enrollment token. It was said that only the most highly regarded geniuses could be lucky enough to obtain it. Moreover, it was said that those who relied on this token could enter the school even if they failed or did not participate in the entrance examination. A betrothal gift. Huh? Ye Qianli only felt like there were crows flying past her entire head, a row of vertical lines flashing, and a row of withered leaves floating down. Everything within her felt that something was wrong. By the time she regained her composure from the betrothal gift, there was already no one in front of her eyes. That stunning crown prince beside the window just now had vanished into thin air. She didn't even see how he left before he disappeared. Magic box, did you see it clearly? Nonsense, he turned into a bird and flew away, Ye Qianli. The first talent he awakened should be the mythological beast, vermilion bird. It is very powerful and very abnormal. F***seek if I had known, I would have contracted him instead. This is the master that I, the magic box, should have. That's what is worthy of me, the magic box typed out regretfully. Its consciousness was still lingering in the direction where Rongmo had left. The behavior of such blatant betrayal made Ye Qianli choke. Ah, whatever, it's all fate. Time doesn't belong to me, and I also can't go towards it. Sigh. Smack. Ye Qianli threw the magic box from her pocket onto the ground. Are you done yet? Follow him if you dare. Ouch! You abused me! You're going to be punished by the heavens! The magic box flashed words onto the screen and complained. Ye Qianli did not care about it. She looked down at the enrollment token in her hand. When she thought about the word betrothal gift again, she felt her scalp and the roots of her hair hurt as well. Wasn't this engagement supposed to never be mentioned again? Could it be that he found out that she was talented, so he quickly came to send a betrothal gift? F***CK. For what reason? Previously, he had abandoned her like a pair of shoes. Now he was here to cement their betrothal. And he was even here personally? Did he have to be so pragmatic? Wasn't he supposed to be as impressive and beautiful as the moon? Also, she hadn't even said that she wouldn't agree, and yet this person had already left. What was the meaning of this? Did he think that she would definitely accept it? Did he think that, with his beauty, there was nothing he couldn't do? No. Chapter 15. Ye Qianli clenched the enrollment token tightly in her hand and was going to leap out of the window abruptly to chase after that beautiful crown prince. However, she fell flat on her face with a thud. She actually fell down from flipping over a window? Ye Qianli was not feeling too good from head to toe. Huh. At the same time, a clear and distant laugh even sounded from the darkness, extremely impolitely. Hearing that, Ye Qianli's entire body stiffened. However, she still did not give up and looked towards the source of that voice. In the end, she saw Rongmo, whom she didn't know whether had returned after leaving or had not gone far in the first place. She was simply simply embarrassed beyond words. She really wanted to dig a hole in the ground that she was sprawled out on and burrow into it. She was simply to think she had been reduced to the point where she could even fall from flipping over a window. How embarrassing! Ye Qianli covered her face and sighed secretly. She only hoped that that guy, from a short distance away, would leave quickly. Unfortunately, the beautiful crown prince didn't. Why aren't you getting up yet? Do you want to lie on your stomach until the new year comes? Not only didn't Rongmo leave, but he even walked up to Ye Qianli, who was lying on her stomach. There was an obvious teasing smile in his tone. Ye Qianli. She did just want to lie down and wait for the new year. Why? It's none of your business. No matter how embarrassing you look, you've already let me see it on purpose back then. Yet, you know to feel embarrassed now. Rongmo hadn't forgotten how this little woman had implicated him by using him as a great cause so that she could make a scene in the main hall. This woman didn't have him, the crown prince, in her heart. She was only obeying him on the surface, but she was secretly going against him on the inside. She even disdained being his crown princess consort, so why would she mind embarrassing herself in front of him? Although she hid it very deeply and he still could not see through her completely, he could still understand up to this layer. However, Ye Qianli. What? In a bad mood, Ye Qianli, who had no choice but to get up and was unable to retreat like a tortoise any longer, prepared to get up. Forget it. Forget it. So what if she lost face? However, just as she got up, her right arm was pulled back abruptly, and her back was pressed against the wall by the window. She simply wanted to ask this person, this beautiful crown prince with an exquisite face and who was sticking so close to her, what he wanted to do by suddenly pinning her against the wall. However, the beautiful crown prince was just too close to her. His clean scent, like clear snow, enveloped her, and his soul-sucking eyes locked onto hers too. She was really a little flustered and didn't know what to say anymore. Ye Qianli! The beautiful crown prince's voice was still very clear and gentle as he called out again. The breath of his words seemed to pass by her ears, neither close nor distant. Oh no, this person was using a honey trap. Ye Qianli took a few light breaths before she managed to stabilize her slightly messy breathing. However, when she saw that fair-as-jade collarbone right in front of her, she subconsciously felt guilty. However, she couldn't help but be on full alert in her heart. She kept her guard up against this beautiful crown prince who was behaving very strangely. She couldn't help but grow uneasy. Was it you that day? Indeed, the beautiful crown prince asked a question that hit her premonition. This time, not only did he use his breath to tease her, but he even used his gaze. His clear eyes seemed to be sparkling with specks of light that were about to flow into her eyes and the bottom of her heart. It was simply too beautiful, seductive, and dangerous. Ye Qianli's heart skipped a beat and she was stunned. A pair of rich brown eyes faintly emitted a misty, glittering light, making her look like a docile and attractive cat. The beautiful crown prince continued to tease her. This sound was filled with innumerable twists and turns. Seemed to cause Ye Qianli to become even more stunned. Her beautiful eyes could not help but half drooped as those red lips of hers moved slightly. She was actually going to lean closer and kiss those alluring lips that were so close. Rongmo immediately frowned and turned his head to avoid her. He even took 2 steps back and let go of Ye Qianli. After a long while, Ye Qianli's slightly dazed eyes gradually regained clarity. Her pretty face suddenly turned pinkish, and she was a little shy, embarrassed, and angry. Rongmo stared at her reaction, his eyes filled with suspicion. However, he heard someone approaching nearby and he was suddenly pushed back by Ye Qianli. I want the enrollment token, but I don't agree to it as a betrothal gift, Ye Qianli said angrily. Without waiting for Rongmo to respond, she flipped over the window gracefully and returned to the house nimbly. The open window was also closed with a bang. After waiting for a while and receiving the guarantee from the magic box that Rongmo had really left, Ye Qianli's legs immediately went weak, and she sat on the chair. What a scare, all right. If she hadn't been smart enough to pretend to be seduced and almost kissed him, this probably wouldn't have ended yet. This crown prince was so difficult to deal with. He actually hasn't let me off yet. Ye Qianli only felt overwrought as she lamented in her heart. After being interrogated in that new way earlier, she really nearly could not take it anymore. The enemy's sugar-coated bullets were too sweet and tempting. How did you offend him? As for the magic box that sensed that something was amiss, it also transmitted a question in Ye Qianli's mind. Ye Qianli found it a bit hard to explain. Even though he came so close to you, why do I feel like he really wanted to kill you just now? You have to be careful. This is a beautiful snake. The magic box seriously transmitted these words. Pfft, beautiful snake. Ha 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 ha! Ye Qianli was amused by the description of the magic box. However, it was true. That fellow was simply a venomous snake, a beautiful snake that could kill people at any time. Don't laugh, I'm serious. The magic box was unhappy. I know, but right now, I think that I should take control of my divine ability first. Otherwise, I'm really too weak. I can even fall while climbing through a window. Ye Qianli calmed herself down and said. The magic box agreed with her wholly, and immediately urged Ye Qianli to quickly cultivate. It was a little afraid that this master would fall to her death the next time she climbed through the window. Ha 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 ha. But you helped me to conceal my talent as the 9 mystical extraordinary fire. But I possess the 9 heavens mystical fire. What should I do? Ye Qianli asked. That's easy. I'll teach you a mental cultivation method. As long as you don't unleash your talent on a large scale, I guarantee that no one will be able to discover it, the magic box boasted. Even the crown prince can't discover it? Probably. The magic box cowered. Ye Qianli. This person has a very powerful source of divine aura. Anything is possible. The magic box indicated that it wasn't because it couldn't do it, but because that little older brother was too powerful. All right then, I'll make do with it first. What else could Ye Qianli do? She could only be more careful when facing the beautiful crown prince. After that, Ye Qianli immediately started cultivating while the magic box continued to cast protection to conceal her aura. Moreover, this time, the magic box discovered that Ye Qianli seemed to be able to enter the most perfect cultivation state at will. The situation at the ancient battlefield really was not a coincidence. This talent is really out of the ordinary. The magic box had to admit that its cheap master really could surprise him in every way. However, as it was closely observing, it also acutely sensed that there was a sneaky shadow passing by outside the window just now. Chapter 16. The next day, the southern palace courtyard, that had originally become peaceful, was suddenly thrown into chaos again. Not long after, Ye Qianli's room door was heavily banged on. Phew! This made the eyes of Ye Qianli, who had just let out a breath of turbid air and only felt refreshed, turn cold. Bang! Clang! At the same time, the door to her room was violently kicked open. The broken pieces of wood struck a large porcelain bottle in the hall, causing a loud explosion. Without even waiting for Ye Qianli to go out and welcome them, or even giving her any time to freshen up, she heard the people who had barged in from outside yell, "What are you all dawdling for? Hurry up! Go in and detain eldest young miss." Bang! As a result, Ye Qianli's bedroom door was rudely kicked open. Under the lead of that old grandma who had mocked her previously, a group of her Ye family's private guards charged into the room one after another aggressively. Some of the private guards even looked towards the bed impolitely the moment they entered. They looked at Ye Qianli, who was on the bed. This was something that had never happened in Ye Qianli's 16 years of life as a noblewoman. As the eldest young lady of the Ye family, her bedroom had always been a sacred existence in the Ye family, Other than her female family members and female servants, even her father, Ye Fengtian, had never been here, let alone other men. "Get out!" Such rudeness and offense made the coldness in Ye Qianli's eyes intensify. She then shouted out sharply, and for a moment, buzz! All the people who had barged in one after another instantly felt as if they were struck between the brows by a sharp killing intent. Their hearts and souls trembled because of this, and their movements even stopped. At this moment, especially those private guards who had rudely looked towards Ye Qianli, they felt that the girl sitting cross-legged on the bed in front of them, even though she was only wearing plain white undergarments, was actually so proper and untouchable. She felt like a high saint whom they could not offend. Silence. The intruders immediately fell into a strange silence. Even though they were the Ye family's private guards, they were all martial artists who cultivated mystic energy. They were all extraordinarily courageous people, but at this moment, they were all suppressed by Ye Qianli's imposing aura. Yes. After a long while, the leader of the intruders, who was the strongest 9th-rank mystic apprentice in this group of private guards, subconsciously wanted to open his mouth to explain when he finally found his voice after much difficulty. Although, according to the instructions they had received, there was no need to explain anything, and they could just take her away, he couldn't help but want to explain himself respectfully at this moment. Yet, get lost. Ye Qianli did not accept the explanation. Her renewed cold shout already carried a hint of burning intent, and an especially powerful pressure that instantly crushed everyone who entered the venue, causing all of them to withdraw from the house with a swish. None of them stopped hesitantly, and none of them moved slowly. Before their minds could even react, their bodies had already retreated and shut the door nimbly. After retreating for quite a while, the group of people felt a lingering fear as cold sweat dripped down their foreheads. Many of them could not help but think, "Eldest young lady, is she really crippled?" Why did eldest young lady give them the feeling that she was not crippled at all? She still looked like the aloof eldest young lady within the mansion, a genius and goddess who could not be blasphemed against by mortals. She even felt more noble and otherworldly. But, young miss has such a huge temper. But no matter how big your temper is today, it's not up to you. Why are you guys still not going in? What are you afraid of her for? How can a shameless SL*T like her be fit to be the eldest young lady? What a joke. That old granny who had brought these people over did not believe that Ye Qianli was not crippled. She firmly believed that the Dr. Jiang sent over by the Crown Prince would not make a mistake. More so, she firmly believed that her judgment was correct. The prince and the princess consort didn't like the eldest young lady to begin with. In addition to today's crime, she firmly believed that the young lady cousin could replace the eldest young lady completely. The harder and more ruthlessly she stepped on the eldest young lady now, the more she would be valued by the young lady cousin for sure in the future. However, the response to the old granny was still silence. Not a single private guard responded to her call again. As cultivators, they were much more sensitive than ordinary people. They were rather afraid due to their inner judgment. What a bunch of useless people. They're not even as good as an ordinary old woman like me. The old grandma looked at them with contempt. Instead, she held her head high with her chest puffed out and tried to walk into the house once more. However, just as she was about to push the door open, it was pushed open from the inside. She could not dodge in time and was slapped right in the face by the door. Bang! This old thing without any cultivation was sent flying in front of the private guards without any surprise. Then she fell to the ground with a bang, lying down and facing upwards like an old dog. 2 streams of nosebleeds flowed out from that completely unappealing face of hers. That miserable look. Even the private guards felt the pain. Ye Qianli, who pushed open the door and walked out, did not even look at this sick old dog. She walked out from within the house without any sideways glance. She already put on the image of a well-dressed noble lady. Ye Qianli wore a white gown that was as soft and elegant as flowing clouds. On her body, it did not give people any sense of plainness or paleness. It only gave people a noble and otherworldly feeling. It was as if a goddess from the 9 heavens had descended to the mortal world. She wore a dangling, vivid, and realistic 9-phoenix sky ornament that shook the heavens as if a real 9-phoenix was about to ride the wind and break through the heavens. However, the hairpin attached to her silky black hair didn't overshadow the main attraction in the slightest, as if it was only opening up a path for her to soar into the clear blue sky. A noble lady, a heavenly goddess. Everyone who saw Ye Qianli in this poise received a sort of déjà vu of those 6 characters, especially when she walked into the main hall of the southern palace with her back facing the light, step by step into the huge hall that had an oppressive aura. Even Ye Fengtian and Su Qin, who were sitting high above, and Su Lianhua, who was slumped on the settee, could not get rid of this feeling. Even though Su Lianhua was the most unwilling, among them, to admit that Ye Qianli was nobler than her, she could not help but concede with extreme jealousy. Ye Qianli was indeed nobler than her, more high-end than her. In particular, Ye Qianli, who was dressed beautifully today, gave Su Lianhua a feeling that she was more beautiful than her, much more beautiful. Her eyes carried their own brilliance like colored glass. Her brows were passionate like spring mountains. Her exquisite nose was straight and glossy, and her lips were as red as the feathers of a vermilion bird. It could be said that at this moment, Ye Qianli had perfectly demonstrated what was called imposing. She was what they called noble and goddess-like. Unfortunately, she had been crippled. When Ye Fengtian saw this kind of ambience from his daughter, he felt endless regret in his heart. He always knew that, although this daughter's personality wasn't likable, she was definitely capable. Having grown up very beautifully, she looked very much like his mother. Back then, his mother, who had many suitors in the royal capital, was also so noble and domineering in his memory. She was so beautiful that even he, her son, felt a sense of distance. "Someone, come and prepare a seat for the eldest young lady." Ye Fengtian's voice was very gentle as he spoke with that trace of admiration in his heart. "What is she sitting for?" Su Qin screeched furiously. Chapter 17. As soon as Su Qin shouted, the private guards who had followed her, instead of escorting Ye Qianli like a criminal, swiftly withdrew like a tide. Even though they had accidentally heard the inside story before, the main family's affairs were not something that people like them could watch from the sidelines. "If you have the ability to do such a shameless thing and disgrace our Yi family's honor, what right do you have to sit? What are you waiting for? Kneel down." Su Qin's face turned green, and she looked extremely angry. This time, Su Lianhua did not speak again. She stared fixedly at Ye Qianli, her gaze like a sword dipped in poison. She wished that she could gouge out that extremely beautiful face. "Father, may I ask why you invited your daughter here?" However, Ye Qianli ignored Su Qin. In her eyes, she no longer had this mother. Originally, she was a person who had occupied a magpie's nest. She did not have much feelings towards the parents of this body, things like gratitude for raising her up or filial piety. Moreover, Su Qin really did not treat her as her daughter. Instead, this mother kept trampling on her, even insulting and hitting her. Hence, it was even more impossible for her to treat Su Qin as her mother. As for Ye Fengtian, in Ye Qianli's memories, although this father was also a SE** bag compared to her harsh mother, he had brought warmth to the original owner before. Therefore, she still somewhat respected this father of hers, even if he was also such a ** bag for letting a mother humiliate his own daughter like this. "I told you to." Su Qin was indeed even angrier after being ignored. It looked like she was about to attack again. "Enough! Can't you talk nicely? She's still our daughter after all. You're always threatening to strike her all day long. Is she your enemy?" Ye Fengtian flipped out instead. Only then did Su Jin stop talking. No matter what, she was still afraid of Ye Fengtian. Not to mention anything else, just based on cultivation, Ye Fengtian was at the level where he could easily strangle her to death. Leah, don't blame your mother for being furious either. It's just that your actions are too disappointing. Ye Fengtian, who finished lecturing his wife, finally looked at Ye Qianli and said with disappointment, "May I know what father is talking about?" Ye Qianli asked. Although she already had an idea in her heart, she still wanted to see how her father and mother would convict her. "Elder sister, quickly admit your mistake. Uncle and aunt already know about it. About you and guard Lin. Guard Lin has already been killed." This time, Su Lianhua, who saw an opportunity to trample on Ye Qianli, did not let go of it and immediately added on to her zin. As expected, Ye Fengtian's face darkened terribly and his eyes burned with anger. "Guard Lin?" Ye Qianli went through her memories and confirmed that she really did not know who he was. She then looked at the black-faced Ye Fengtian and asked, "If I said that I don't know this person, would my father believe me?" Swoosh. When Su Qin, who had been silent for a while, heard this, the teacup beside her was swept angrily at Ye Qianli. That speed was so fast. An ordinary commoner would definitely not be able to dodge it. So, Ye Qianli really did not dodge this time. Under the effect of Su Qin's force, the boiling hot tea and cup hit her chest, where her heart was, hard, and scalded her body. Clang! The teacup fell to the ground. As the material was especially good and sturdy, it did not shatter. However, one could imagine how painful it was for Ye Qianli, who had been hit directly. If not for the fact that she had already awakened her innate talent and she was not the trash. She was after that incident. She was afraid that her heart would have been crushed to pieces and she would have died on the spot. This was her mother, Su Qin. Blood flowed out from the corner of Ye Qianli's lips. Drops of blood flowed down her chin and dripped onto her chest. It was especially bright and piercing. Ye Fengtian, a general who was used to going on battle expeditions, actually found it to be such a ghastly sight. Even Su Lianhua was shocked. However, the smile at the bottom of her eyes could not help but float to the surface. She firmly believed that Ye Qianli, who was already crippled, would not be able to withstand this blow. Ye Qianli was going to die. Ye Fengtian's face was a little pale. After all, no matter what, she was his biological daughter. He had never thought of taking his child's life even if she had done countless wrong things. Su Qin's expression turned ugly too. She had forgotten that this daughter of hers was already crippled. These kinds of actions from her would take her daughter's life. She was just used to hitting her. Seeing the change in the expressions of the three people in the hall, Ye Qianli raised her hand and gently wiped away the blood at the corner of her mouth. Then she reached into her bosom, and a very broken jade pendant appeared in her hand. "This is the heart protection jade that Grandpa gave me. Grandpa has saved me again. This is my second life," Ye Qianli said. Ye Fengtian heaved a sigh of relief. "Your grandfather shouldn't have given you these good things. A vile creature like you should have died earlier so that we would be spared any worry." Su Qin also heaved a sigh of relief, but she didn't forget to admonish her cuttingly. "Does father think so too?" Ye Qianli asked. "Enough. You evil creature. Don't keep thinking that your father will protect you. If your grandfather were to find out about what you've done this time, I'm afraid he would probably kill you personally. As the eldest young lady of my Yi family, even if you're a useless person, you still have the bloodline of the Yi clan. Why are you so willing to cheapen yourself and get together with a low-grade guard? A low-grade guard? You're really capable." When Su Qin mentioned these pieces of truth, she was so angry that her liver hurt. She felt that the evil creature she had given birth to was here to bring her shame. It was the biggest stain in her life. "Aunt, don't be angry. Elder sister was just confused for a moment too. Elder sister, quickly apologize to aunt. Don't make aunt angry." When she saw the favorableness of the situation, Lian Jue looked towards Ye Qianli and hurriedly begged her. Afterward, Pa. Ye Qianli simply gave her a slap on the face, and the latter fell from the settee onto the floor. She slapped Lian Jue right in front of Su Qin and Ye Fengtian. "You!" Su Qin's face was filled with shock. She stood up completely and cast her palm strike directly at Ye Qianli. The strong wind whistled and pressed down like a mountain, heading to crush Ye Qianli. As a fifth-level mystic cultivator, Su Qin truly went all out this time. When she saw her beloved niece being struck, she was absolutely furious. "Su Qin," Ye Fengtian's expression changed slightly, and he immediately wanted to stop her. After all, he knew that Ye Qianli could not be so lucky every time. However, screech! A cry of a phoenix, accompanied by a golden glow, swept towards Su Qin a step before Ye Fengtian could. Not only did it instantly disperse the power of her palm, but the remaining strength also exploded towards her. Bang! In the next moment, Su Qin was sent flying and smashed against the wall behind the hall. Thankfully, Ye Fengtian had caught her in time and prevented her from falling to the ground in a sorry state. Pfft! However, Su Qin was already seriously injured. She vomited a mouthful of blood in Ye Fengtian's arms. It was a shocking sight. Even Lian Jue, who had fallen to the ground, was stunned. Although I, Ye Qianli, am crippled, the murderous aura accumulated within this 9 phoenix sky ornament is enough for me to kill you, Su Qin. At the same time, Ye Qianli's cold voice rang out without any emotion. Chapter 18. You unfilial daughter! Ye Fengtian was both shocked and furious as he looked at his cold-hearted daughter. He raised his palm at her with a fiery passion. However, he was a mystic king. A mystic king's cultivation was far above a mystic soldier's. A mystic king could crush countless mystic soldiers like Su Qin, like ants. Boom! Therefore, the moment Ye Fengtian raised his palm, the entire main hall felt as if thousands of horses were galloping and thousands of troops were sweeping across. In just a moment, the main hall of the southern palace actually exploded on the spot. Boom! Boom! Violent explosions rang out incessantly. Not only did it cause the residue of the palace hall to scatter in all directions, but the private guards of the nearby guardians also couldn't dodge in time and were blasted far away. Is there an enemy attack? Is this an enemy attack? Such a huge commotion caused everyone in the southern palace to panic. Many people still did not know what had happened. The rest of the people in the palace were also alarmed. Many people rushed over, thinking that the southern palace had been attacked. Even Rong Mo came to the scene as soon as possible. However, what he saw was not the scene of the attack, but what he saw was a father and daughter confronting each other in the original main hall of the southern palace. That girl who had fallen down from climbing through a window last night and revealed an embarrassed expression was now standing 30 feet away from her father with such an upright and stubborn countenance. She was holding a 9 phoenix sky ornament in her hand. He had heard of this dangling ornament before. It should belong to her grandmother and was a spirit artifact. It was said that it could accumulate killing intent and could even detect it. It was a protective talisman and also a deadly weapon. Crack, crack. However, this piece of dangling ornament was currently shattering and slowly disappearing from Ye Qianli's hand. In the end, nothing was left behind. This was the power of the Mystic King's palm strike, even if he hadn't used his full strength yet. However, it was obvious what sort of outcome she would face if this palm really struck onto the body of the trash Ye Qianli. However, the person in question, Ye Qianli, was not shocked, neither did she show any signs of panic. She looked at Ye Fengtian with such calm eyes and said, 3 lives are enough to offset the grace of the 2 of you bestowing life onto me. She added, From now on, I, Ye Qianli, and Ye Fengtian will no longer have a father-daughter relationship, and I will no longer have a mother-daughter relationship with Su Qin. I, Ye Qianli, am only Ye Qianli." After saying that, Ye Qianli turned around and left. She did not look at her parents again, nor did she give another glance to her surroundings. She simply walked straight out. This swivel of hers was firm and decisive. It made all those who saw her feel that she would never turn back again. Never again. "You wicked daughter, stop right there." Ye Feng was so angry that he was about to go crazy, especially when he sensed that there were advancing outsiders nearby. Not only was he furious, but he was also extremely embarrassed. However, why would Ye Qianli still listen to him? Of course she would not stop. "Believe it or not, I'll break your legs," Ye Fengtian roared. Ye Qianli still did not stop. Even if Ye Fengtian really wanted to break her legs, she would not stop. "Leave. As long as you leave this place, you'll never have a place in the Ye family ever again. You don't have to bear the surname Ye either." Ye Fengtian was really so angry that he was about to explode. When Ye Qianli heard this, her footsteps paused for a moment. However, just when Ye Fengtian thought that she was giving in, she said coldly, "My surname has never been your Ye. Your daughter's name is Su Lianhua. Su Lianhua, who eats the innate talent pill and jade dew pill. Not me, Ye Qianli." As soon as these words came out, Ye Fengtian, who was originally still furious, was stunned. His entire body stiffened. He probably didn't expect Ye Qianli to know these things and reveal them at this moment too. However, it was undeniable how unfair this was to Ye Qianli. She was the eldest young lady of the Ye family, but the treasure of the Ye family, innate talent pill, and Su Qin's dowry, jade dew pill, was not given to her, but to Su Lianhua. How could there be such a huge difference between a younger female cousin and a legitimate eldest young lady of the family? Who was the real daughter? Who was the real cousin? It was unimaginable. Rebellious daughter, unfilial daughter trying to kill her mother. Su Qin, whose aura was weak, was weeping blood and pointing her fingers angrily. She looked quite miserable too, making the onlookers feel that things were very complicated. Perhaps the reason why the biological daughter didn't get treated like one wasn't that the royal Yi couple was biased, but because this eldest young lady of the Yi family was really disobedient. After all, she looked like she wanted to kill even her mother. With such disgraceful behavior, it seemed normal for her to be disfavored like this. However, no matter what outsiders thought or how they saw it, Ye Qianli didn't stop anymore, nor did she refute anything. She simply walked out of the southern palace step by step, with her back ramrod straight, heading towards the exit of the Sky Harmony Palace. The view of that embroidered white back was so obstinate and arrogant that it raised the eyebrows of many people. From then on, the news that the only daughter of the Ye clan, Qianli, rebelled against her mother and committed matricide, severing her relationship with the Ye family on her own and leaving the Ye family with nothing, flew towards the eyes and the ears of those paying close attention to the Ye family. Sigh, children with a bit of talent are always more impetuous and rebellious. They are also unable to withstand setbacks. The white-haired, silver-browed elder, who had been personally requested by Rongfeng to investigate the talent cultivator of the 9 mystical extraordinary fire and check on the Ye clan's daughter in passing, looked at Ye Qianli with a rather sorrowful expression. Although he came late, the white-haired, silver-browed old man had already heard the news that Ye Qianli was crippled, while the cultivator who awakened the jade rabbit talent last night was Prince Ye's niece, Su Lianhua. Therefore, in his view at this moment, these kinds of actions by Ye Qianli were merely because she could not stand the difference of turning from a genius into a useless individual and a goddess turning into a lowly chicken. She was just venting her rebelliousness, that was all. After suffering hardships outside, this child would return to the Ye residence obediently on her own and seek her last protection. After all, as a rather pretty girl who was a good-for-nothing, it would be very difficult for her to survive alone. What a pity. What a real pity. At this moment, Dr. Jiang, who stood beside the white-haired, silver-browed old man, shook his head and sighed in pity. Let's go and take a look at Prince Ye first. We'll have to check on that Su clan's daughter in the end. Since she ate the jade dew pill, she should be fine, said the old man with white hair and silver eyebrows. Please, Dr. Jiang nodded. Although he felt that it was not a good idea to meet the Ye family's heir now, the safety of the talent cultivators was more important. He still had to prioritize the country. Elder Jiang, please. Not long after Ye Qianli left, the two elders entered the messy southern palace. However, the moment the two of them entered, that white-haired, silver-browed elder immediately looked up as though he detected something. Upon looking up, he immediately revealed an expression of shock. That was because he actually saw the Crown Prince Rongmo, who was wearing a wide-sleeved embroidered robe, looking like a celestial being, on a rooftop somewhere in the southern palace. Your Highness, the Crown Prince? The elderly man almost thought he was seeing things. Your Highness? Elder Jiang noticed that something was wrong with the old man beside him. Indeed, he looked up and saw Crown Prince Rongmo too. His face was also extremely shocked. After all, this Crown Prince had never given much attention to irrelevant matters. He never gave superfluous attention. However, he had appeared here now. Could it be that he was still paying attention to the Ye family? How could this be? Didn't the Crown Prince look down on the daughter of the Ye clan? Also, didn't the engagement between the Crown Prince and the daughter of the Ye clan fall through because the daughter of the Ye clan was crippled? Since he no longer had anything to do with them, then why did His Highness the Crown Prince come here? Moreover, he even came personally, this